You know, a lot of times I'm asked questions about conflict, and that question can be either from the executive who is needing to have a difficult performance conversation, or it can be from an employee who's struggling with a coworker. And so I like to define conflict a couple of different ways, because once we start thinking about conflict differently, we handle it differently. So one of the ways that I talk about conflict is simply opposing forces. In other words, there's an arrow going to the left and an arrow going to the right. And so when we don't open up and question each other about what's going on, and when we don't seek to understand first, we create even more conflict. So one of the biggest things that I see is people avoiding difficult conversations. And we have a lot of reasons for that. In fact, I hear everything from, well, today it's the company picnic, or, well, they've got seniority and I don't want to rock the boat, they're getting ready for their anniversary, or they're going through a difficult divorce. And before long, the conversation that you avoid today when it comes to leadership becomes a lawsuit 10 years later. So conflict can be a good thing, but what we have to realize is that we have to first become curious instead of becoming certain. We make all kinds of assumptions, and that creates what I call drama. So one of my tips for addressing conflict is to simply see it as opposing forces instead of making it personal about the other person. And another tip is to simply become curious about where the other person, what they're thinking, what their stance is. And I often say, stay in the boat, stay in the boat. In other words, don't jump overboard. Don't get so excited that you start blaming and making up a story about what their intention is. Just take that deep breath, create a space between stimulus and response, get curious, and find that common ground, and before long, you'll be heading in the right direction.